WWE chooses chaos in the busiest week of wrestling ever. Welcome back to the Wrestling's Bullshit podcast. It's a joy and a pleasure to be bringing you this episode today. Let's get into it, guys. This tagline to open up the show is no joke. It's been the busiest week in wrestling, I think, ever. So many shows, so many title changes, so many things shifting and surprising us, the fans of the product. We're just going to jump right into it here, guys. There has been way too much to even create a somewhat decent segue into. We just got to jump right in. We started this busy week off with Monday Night Raw, where the Street Profits won the World Tag Team Championship by defeating The Vision. Street Profits are back in business as tag team champs, this time for Monday Night Raw with those World Tag Team titles. Should be a good time with them, expecting them to do great things. Of course, you can only be as good as your creative team, but we'll see what happens. We also had another WWE Championship change hands. And no, I'm not talking about the one that we are supposed to get into. I'm talking about Nikita Lyons, WWE Evolve. Nikita Lyons has won the Women's Evolve Championship of WWE. Nikita Lyons, of course, was hard to ignore when she first entered the world of wrestling through NXT. To be honest, I'm not sure what happened all those years ago to now. I expected Nikita Lyons to be an NXT champion at least 5 years ago, but that never really surfaced. That never really came to fruition. And now she has finally won her first championship in wrestling, the WWE Women's Evolve Championship. And I hope the best for her, really. I think that she has the potential to be a star. Perhaps it's something on her behalf. Perhaps it's something along with WWE Creative. Who knows at this point? Who knows? But nonetheless, man, let's be happy for her because she won her first title. We also have the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship changing hands this week as El Sky Team was able to pick up the victory against LFI and get these Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles around their waists. And it's a really good win. I think El Sky Team can do a really good job with these titles, which desperately need a good champion to have a good reign with. So we'll see what happens here, man. And finally, hopefully I didn't make you wait too long. We have the big title change of the week. This is astronomical, ladies and gentlemen. This is huge. Sami Zayn getting the roll-up pin on Cody Rhodes in a triple threat match that also included Gunther for the undisputed WWE Championship. Sami Zayn is the undisputed WWE Champion. This is exactly what I'm referring to when I talked about WWE choosing chaos. Let me explain myself. Am I happy that Sami Zayn has finally won the big one? Absolutely. Yes. Who isn't? Point me to a person that's not happy about this right now. Everybody is ecstatic for Sami Zayn. Even though he's a heel, it felt like a babyface moment. And that's my point exactly. All the things that have transpired really caused us to walk through a glass door, if you know what I mean, when Sami Zayn won this title. You see, we haven't been having the most fun with SmackDown. SmackDown has been a 3-hour show. SmackDown has been a drag. SmackDown has been a disservice to the character that is Cody Rhodes on WWE programming. What was once the most over, the best character, is now the most stale and one of the worst characters, one of the worst champions, in my opinion. Until as of very recent, I will say Gunther and Cody Rhodes have been having a great feud, which will make me eat my words on that. He has not been one of the worst champions as of very recent. Very recent. Anywho, I'm not trying to grasp at straws here. It was all, a perfect mix of chaos, right? We were all confused with the story that Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton were trying to tell, or lack thereof. That was a huge disappointment to myself and several other fans. We were confused about the very random heel turn that Sami Zayn went through just a couple of months ago in his feud with Trick Williams. At the beginning of the feud, Sami Zayn was the babyface and Trick Williams was the heel. And they kind of did a double turn to where Trick Williams walked out the face and Sami Zayn was the heel. The only problem is by turning Sami Zayn heel, that informally, you are throwing away years of storytelling, years of build. There's no justifiable reason for Sami Zayn to be a heel in the case of his feud with Trick Williams, other than the fans cheering Trick and booing Sami because they love Trick. That's fine, right? Trick Williams is excellent. That's just not a good utilization of Sami Zayn. And I'm sure they didn't mean to put Sami Zayn in that type of position, but ultimately you have a heel turn of no substance with one of the biggest natural baby faces that WWE has seen in years. And ultimately that is what added even more chaos into this perfect storm that finally led to Sami Zayn winning the undisputed WWE Championship. Sami Zayn he walked into the triple threat match as a heel, and he essentially walked out as a babyface by giving the fans this surprise shock moment as he holds the undisputed WWE Championship, the highest prize in pro wrestling, if you ask some. So what I'm trying to get at here is this, and I'm sorry if this is confusing. What I'm trying to get at here, though, is this. What are we sacrificing to have this perfect chaos moment? Because Sami Zayn winning the undisputed WWE Championship is nothing short of a perfect chaos moment, right? You see him as this heel. You see him as lackluster in terms of character right now. Same with Cody Rhodes. And you could probably even say the same for Gunther, who retired John Cena just over 6 months ago and already feels like he's back to the floor, back to normalcy. Doesn't really feel like we still have momentum from that moment 6 months later, 7 months later. What are we sacrificing here? Because number one, the Sami Zayn heel turn that took place seemingly, it didn't take place. It was simply a double turn. Sami Zayn and Trick Williams did a double turn where one walked in a face, the other walked in a heel, and they switched roles by the time they were done with their feud, which was a very mediocre feud. Had all the tools to be a fantastic mid-card feud for SmackDown, but was a very mediocre feud because of idiocy, the whole gingerbread man crap. Anywho, all of this creates the perfect amount of chaos to create a shock moment in Sami Zayn winning the undisputed WWE Championship at Night of Champions. But is that really what you envisioned for Sami Zayn winning the big one? Because the cat is out of the bag now. You can't recreate anything with Sami Zayn. You can't recreate a heel turn. You can't recreate a big title win. He already turned heel, and he already won the title as of very recent. Cat's out of the bag completely. So now that the cat's out of the bag and we've done something that is quite irreversible, was what we sacrificed in a natural story of Sami Zayn being the ultimate underdog babyface, is what we sacrificed enough? Does it outweigh the reality of the situation? Are you happy with the way that Sami Zayn has won this championship? One of the most organic babyface moments of the modern era was probably going to be Sami Zayn winning this title. That is not the case. Sami Zayn is a heel. We can cheer for him. We can be happy for him. We can even be excited for what's coming next. Okay, all of those things I am feeling. All of those things I felt when Sami got the surprise win. But if you had the option, would you have gone the regular storyline route? Watch Sami Zayn win the Rumble. Watch him go into WrestleMania with a fiery spirit and finally pick up the undisputed WWE title in the main event of WrestleMania. Would you have wanted to see something like that, a very simple, organic babyface moment for Sami Zayn finally getting the big win? Or would you take this instead, which is the pure chaos of Sami uneventfully turning heel, the pure chaos of Cody Rhodes losing his momentum in a very quick fashion by a string of bad creative decisions. Chaos or order? Telling a story more so applies to the concept of order than it does to chaos. But what WWE has done is they have given us this moment of Sami Zayn finally winning the big one out of complete chaos, out of complete shock. It was a complete moment of shock. Instead of triumph and storytelling and protagonism, it is a complete moment of shock. And I'll tell you what, man, it makes me want to watch SmackDown. SmackDown is officially a 2-hour show once again, which I think will be the number one thing that gets SmackDown and its creative disaster back on track, because SmackDown is not in a good place. I'm not saying Raw is amazing. I think Raw is fine, but I think SmackDown has been in shambles ever since it went back to a 3-hour format. Now it is officially back to a 2-hour format about 7 months later, if I'm not mistaken. So, yes, the Sami Zayn championship win makes me want to tune into SmackDown. Makes me wonder what is in store for the main event scene over at SmackDown with that undisputed WWE championship. A lot of good things are created by this moment that is born out of pure chaos. But is it worth it? Is it worth sacrificing that organic babyface story that Sami Zayn probably deserved? I'm not here to answer that. I don't have the answer for that, to be honest with you. I'm still having fun with the fact that Sami Zayn is the undisputed WWE champion. I'm having a lot of fun with that. I think it's going to complement the 2-hour restructure of SmackDown. And I think we're going to have a good time with this title reign for sure. For sure. Even if it came out of freaking nowhere. It didn't completely come out of nowhere. It feels like Cody and Sami have been building something up for a while now. We just didn't know what that was going to look like. Well, now we do. I just want to plant that in your head. That's what I've been thinking, guys. That's what I've been thinking. And I don't know if this was the best case scenario or if this was the second best case scenario. Either way, I'm having good fun with it. I just want you guys to think about that. Do you prefer chaos or do you prefer order? Do you prefer story or do you prefer things just kind of happening? Ultimately, WWE prides themselves on giving us what we want in a way that we didn't expect. And that is this Sami Zayn title win is the perfect example of that. They gave us what we wanted in ways that we didn't expect. But I have to say, sometimes it's just good to be by the book. Sometimes it is just good to send it. It is good to tell a story, even if it's predictable, even if everybody knows what's going to happen. We're still going to have a good time watching it. Nonetheless, guys, Sami Zayn, undisputed WWE champion. I don't know how else to say this. This is crazy. This is awesome. This is amazing. I really think this is a perfect moment to hit the reset. I think SmackDown is going to be reset by this big moment, and they're going to start getting back to the way they should be moving. They're going to get things back to the way they should be. I hope, at least. I hope. All right. Things that also happen at Night of Champions and consist of the King of the Ring tournament and the Queen of the Ring tournament. Okay. Obafemi defeated Jey Uso in a whopping 8 minutes in what was a fun 8-minute car crash, finisher move after finisher move after finisher move of a match. Obafemi was able to get the W. He will either face Roman Reigns or, at this point, Sami Zayn. Now, either title can change hands before SummerSlam, but Obafemi has a championship match locked in for SummerSlam with his King of the Ring victory this year. I would love to see Obafemi versus Roman Reigns, but a lot of people are speculating that Roman Reigns will be facing Seth Rollins at SummerSlam, which, of course, will be an excellent match. That is a fun match every single time. Roman Reigns has yet to get a clean victory over Seth Rollins, and I think it's time. I think Seth Rollins is kind of getting stale with his current story. That's not really his fault. He got injured. That injury really took the momentum out of his story about a year ago. And now it's looking like Roman versus Rollins is going to happen. Rollins, of course, defeated Braun Breaker in a steel cage match at Night of Champions. Yeah, man, we'll see what happens. I can see that undisputed WWE Championship changing hands before SummerSlam to put Obafemi against somebody else, like a Cody Rhodes or something like that, maybe even a Gunta. We'll find out, man. But we know that Obafemi will be challenging for one of the big titles at SummerSlam. And we know that Io Sky has also won the Queen of the Ring tournament. And she seems content on facing Liv Morgan for the Women's World Championship. We'll see how this goes, man. I haven't been enjoying women's wrestling on the WWE side. I'm not going to lie. It just seems like they don't care. And if they don't care, then why should I? Why should we? I don't know what it is, man. I really don't know what happened to women's wrestling in WWE. Like, it has all the tools to be great. They probably have the greatest women's roster in all of professional wrestling, Raw or SmackDown. Put them together and they definitely do. But they don't care. Did their new change in ownership change their view on women? And now they don't care to actually book their women's division? Like, what's going on here? Io Sky versus Liv Morgan, I still hope will be a fantastic match at SummerSlam. But I've been thoroughly unimpressed by the women's roster on Raw and SmackDown. In fact, the only women's wrestler that is bringing me any sort of excitement and joy when I watch the main roster of WWE is the women's Intercontinental Champion, Sol Ruca. And I think she has the support and help of a legend like Becky Lynch, who made that title mean something. She made that title mean something probably all on her own. I don't give credit to creative for the Women's Intercontinental Championship actually meaning something. Because right now, in my opinion, the Women's World Championship doesn't mean much, and the WWE Women's Championship on SmackDown, Rhea Ripley has it right now, doesn't mean much. It's sad. It's really sad. It's really sad. But nonetheless, man, I think Night of Champions was solid. You had the shock win of Sami Zayn. You had the King and Queen of the Ring tournaments settled. Now we know who will be challenging for titles at SummerSlam. And then we had Seth Rollins versus Braun Breaker in the steel cage match, which was also really good. We also had 3 other shows that took place on Sunday, this past Sunday. Night of Champions was on Saturday, and Sunday saw TNA Slammiversary, NXT Great American Bash, and AEW Forbidden Door. We'll start with TNA Slammiversary. Took place earlier in the day. This was one of 4 TNA pay-per-views that take place every calendar year. And we saw 4 new champions crowned at Slammiversary, starting with the Hardys, who were able to regain the TNA World Tag Team Championship. In the main event, we had Nick Nemeth defeat Mike Santana for the TNA World Championship. And then we had Xia Brookside gaining the Knockouts World Championship as well. And then Demon X Bunny also won the Knockouts World Tag Team Championship. TNA pay-per-views are always a good time. They always kind of see 3 or more title changes and feel somewhat epic. They used to feel more epic before the big partnership with NXT, but I'm not going to beat a dead horse this time. I'm going to let that one go. Speaking of NXT, only really one big takeaway from the Great American Bash, and that was in the main event as Kendall Gray defeated Lola Vice to become the new NXT Women's Champion. Excellent stuff here. Kendall Gray is a prodigy. She has the potential to be one of the best women's wrestlers in the world when she is fully developed as a wrestler, as a performer, as an athlete, as a superstar. And this was a big moment. Her getting a victory against Lola Vice, who has been excellent. Lola Vice has been one of the best champions in wrestling over there at NXT. While the main roster struggles, NXT seems to still have a good grasp on women's wrestling. And ultimately, this was a cool moment for Kendall Gray, and I look forward to seeing her grow in this championship reign. Was it at the expense of Lola Vice? Yes, but I think she'll get that championship back. I do think she'll get that championship back. It's just nice. 4th of July is around the corner. We have American-born Kendall Gray winning the NXT Women's Championship. It was a good time. I will say it was a good time. And now we get to AEW Forbidden Door to round out the busiest week in wrestling ever. I mean, goodness gracious. Street Profits win the belts. Nikita Lyons wins the Women's Evolve Championship. El Sky Team, Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. Sami Zayn getting the big win at Night of Champions. TNA Slammiversary. NXT Great American Bash. And now AEW Forbidden Door. This all took place in a week. We haven't had a week like this in a long time, guys. We haven't had a week like this in a long time. And it was nice to close it out with some AEW, who, in my opinion, are the best wrestling promotion in the world right now. By far, in my opinion. Not to say I didn't enjoy Night of Champions. I did. It was really fun. But AEW Forbidden Door gave us 3 big takeaways. We'll start with Mercedes Moné, who has, for the second year in a row, won the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament. Hopefully I said that right. She won the Owen for short. And on the men's side, in the main event of Forbidden Door, we saw Will Ospreay defeat Swerve Strickland. And he will be going to All In to fight for the AEW World Championship at Wembley Stadium. He'll probably be winning the AEW World Championship at Wembley Stadium. The first English-born wrestler to win the big one at Wembley Stadium will be Will Ospreay sooner than later. And I wouldn't be surprised if Mercedes Moné is also able to pick up the AEW Women's World Championship after her tournament win, which guarantees her a title match at the biggest show of the year for AEW, All In. We also saw a brand new concept get introduced here. We had the 10-man steel cage match advertised, Team MJF versus Team Mark Briscoe. If Team Mark Briscoe wins, then Mark Briscoe will be able to challenge MJF for the AEW World title. We'll get to that. Ultimately, what I want to talk about right now is the fact that we got introduced to a new concept by AEW, and that was Death's Door. It's kind of like a circular cage that goes outside of the ring. Think a circular Hell in a Cell without a roof. That's what Death's Door is. And this was basically AEW's version of Hell in a Cell. And it was a fun match. Andrade ultimately turned on the Don Callis family, turning face in the process, and letting Mark Briscoe get the win. Mark Briscoe will challenge MJF for the AEW World Championship this Wednesday on Dynamite. We also have the Survival of the Fittest match to crown the new TBS champion. That match will consist of Hikaru Shida, Chris Statlander, Queen Aminata, Persephone, Harley Cameron, and Micah. Again, this is a 6-woman Survival of the Fittest match for the vacant TBS championship. We have a fun Dynamite. 2 big matches on Dynamite this week coming out of Forbidden Door, which was also a good time. One of the crazier weeks in wrestling, guys. You wonder why I sound so scatterbrained right now. It's because a lot went down. We have a lot of new champions. Let's do this. Let's count how many new champions we have here. Okay. 9 new champions. 9. And this was a week that finalized 2 big tournaments. King and Queen of the Ring for WWE, and then the Owen for AEW. 2 big tournaments and 9 title changes this week. Guys, I don't know the next time we're going to see a big week in wrestling like this, where you have a big show from TNA, NXT, WWE, and AEW, as well as other random results from shows like WWE Evolve, New Japan, CMLL, and even Monday Night Raw. This was crazy. This was absolutely crazy. I'm not going to lie. This might be the last time you hear me talk wrestling for the next couple of weeks. I don't see any other big thing coming up in the pipeline Maybe there's a new story that drops and maybe there's a lot to talk about next week, but I doubt it. You're probably not going to hear from me until mid-July because every big promotion just had a big show this weekend. Like I'm a little worried that I'm not doing it justice, like each promotion and each show, just because there's so many crammed into this week's episode. But because there was so much that happened this week, there's not going to be a lot to talk about next week. And when there's not a lot to talk about, I just take the week off, right? Why am I going to get up here and talk when there's nothing to talk about? Ultimately. All right. Before we get you out of here, let's do the top 20 champions of wrestling. This has been a fun episode. A lot to talk about. I guess one thing I did want to talk about before I forget was the idea that AEW will retire the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Now, let me be clear. This isn't something that has been reported in the news. This isn't something that I actually think will happen, to be honest with you. But if I were Tony Khan, if I were in charge of things over at AEW, yeah, I think I would retire the Forbidden Door concept. I ultimately believe that the concept of this Forbidden Door doesn't exist anymore. Collaboration is very common in pro wrestling, for better or worse, and the idea that this Forbidden Door concept is supposed to carry a pay-per-view once a year just doesn't have the value it once had. Don't get me wrong, the first couple Forbidden Doors were awesome. We got to see Jon Moxley take on Hiroshi Tanahashi. We got to see Kazuchika Okada wrestle in the United States, which was very rare and very fun, right? Now it's common. Now it's every Wednesday, it feels like. But back then, seeing Okada wrestle in the U.S. was huge. The Forbidden Door concept is something that happens every week, all year. There's really no need to base a pay-per-view around it anymore. It's pretty normal to have a Stardom wrestler on an AEW pay-per-view, a New Japan wrestler on one of their pay-per-views, or a CMLL wrestler on one of their pay-per-views. Very normal. I think the Forbidden Door concept is stale. I think AEW Redemption, which is their next pay-per-view upcoming in July, that should replace the Forbidden Door concept. And this can be the last Forbidden Door pay-per-view, which if it does end up being the last Forbidden Door pay-per-view for whatever reason, because they're listening to me for whatever reason, it's because, or it'll be okay because it has its legacy. The Forbidden Door pay-per-view is going to leave a huge legacy, but in order to do that, you have to let it retire. You have to understand where you're at, understand that this is a concept that is not going to put AEW in its best position to have the best possible pay-per-view. And you have to understand that, again, its legacy speaks for itself. Collaboration between promotions and pro wrestling is normalcy now. You have this new concept called Death's Door that you could pull out for any other AEW pay-per-view whenever it feels like it can come out. It doesn't need to be tied to Forbidden Door. You don't need to force it once a year the way that these companies do with War Games or Blood and Guts, as they call it in AEW. You can pull it out if two feuds are having a good feud and are ready to fight each other at Death's Door. That is when you can use it, whenever the hell it's convenient, not at around the same calendar time every year, right? And then you have Ospreay versus Swerve will go down as the last Forbidden Door main event, and it will be the second time that these guys have wrestled each other at Forbidden Door. And it will be well remembered, right? Like, Forbidden Door has had its place. It's done its thing. I really don't see the need for it anymore on AEW's yearly pay-per-view calendar. I think it's okay for them to get rid of it now. This is the perfect show, the perfect outing for the concept. Introducing the first ever Death's Door match, having Swerve take on Ospreay again. I think that last night's main event between Swerve and Ospreay was better than their first match at Forbidden Door 2 years ago. I think it's time. Retire the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. let its legacy live on in every other AEW pay-per-view. Every other AEW pay-per-view. Let its legacy live on. Retire the concept. New Japan can have one or two guys wrestle at every AEW pay-per-view from this point forward. Same with CMLL. Same with Stardom. And New Japan will find their next collaborative show with CMLL this November at Lucha Kingdom, which is a brand new, large-scale collaborative show between New Japan and CMLL. Longtime partners. So yeah, I really do think they should retire the Forbidden Door pay-per-view. Just wanted to get that in before we got out of here. All right, top 20 champions of wrestling. Let's get it, fellas. Let's get into the honorable mentions first. We have Aaron Rourke, the Evolve champion. We have Alexis King, the WWE Speed champion. We have Tiffany Stratton, the Women's United States champion. We have Cajun Cope, the AEW World Tag Team champions. Persephone. We have Lee Moriarty, Ring of Honor Pure champion. We have Damian Priest and R-Truth, the WWE Tag Team champions. We have Bandito, the Ring of Honor World champion. WWE Women's champion Rhea Ripley. World Heavyweight champion Roman Reigns. WWE ID Women's champion Lanie Luck. Ring of Honor Women's Pure champion Deonna Purrazzo. And Ring of Honor Women's World Television champion Red Velvet. Though that is the list of honorable mentions. These guys didn't quite crack the top 20, but they are doing a modest job with their championship. And now we get into the top 20 here. At number 20, we have the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion Athena. At number 19, we have the AEW Women's World Champion Tekla. Both are doing great work right now. Number 18, we have the Women's Tag Team Champions of WWE, Paige and Brie Bella. At number 17, we have the Ring of Honor World Six-Man Tag Team Champions, Dalton Castle and the Outrunners. And at number 16, we have the IWGP Global Heavyweight Champion, Shota Umino. Number 15, we have the AEW International Champion, Konosuke Takeshita. Number 14, we have the NXT Tag Team Champions, Vanity Project. Number 13, we have the AEW Women's World Tag Team Champions, Divine Dominion. And number 12, we have the TNA International Champion, Mustafa Ali. And at number 11, we have the Continental Champion of AEW, Jon Moxley. Getting into the top 10 here, we have the AEW World Trios Champions, the Conglomeration. At number 9, we have the AAA World Cruiserweight Champion, Rey Fenix. At number 8, we have the TNT Champion, Kevin Knight. Number 7, we have the North American Champion, Miles Bourne. Number 6, we have Mark Davis, the National Champion of AEW. And we get into the top 5 here. Number 5 and number 4. Pretty much tied for number 4, in my opinion. I can go either way. I go back and forth with these guys. At number 5, we have the United States Champion, Trick Williams. Number 4, we have the Intercontinental Champion, Penta. And now getting onto the podium, at number 3, we have the Women's Intercontinental Champion, Sol Ruca. At number 2, we have the NXT Champion, Tony D'Angelo. And at number 1, we have the AEW World Champion, MJF. That is your top 20 champions of wrestling. This has been the Wrestling is Bullshit podcast. I do want to formally apologize and thoroughly apologize if this show was kind of all over the place. If I'm being completely honest, I just have a lot on my plate this week. It's been a busy weekend of wrestling. I feel like I'm washed just from watching all the shows alone, let alone talking about them, let alone all the other things that life keeps me occupied with. So ultimately, yeah, if you feel like I didn't do my very best in this episode, then I genuinely apologize, and I will be back at it on the next episode with my very best. All right? All right, y'all. Listen, be good, be happy, live in the present, enjoy what you enjoy, live within balance, other, spiritual, philosophical, motivational shit. Insert quote here. This has been the Wrestling's Bullshit podcast. I look forward to talking with you guys soon. Honestly, I think it will be a couple weeks before we talk to each other again. I just think there's not going to be a lot to fill an episode of the Wrestling's Bullshit podcast for the next couple of weeks. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens for sure. All right, fellas. I will talk to you later. Peace out.